Hey, there's been a lot of questions, and I have questions too. So let's get some answers. I got the three 20-inch chainsaws that we'll say like are the prosumer range. These are um, like all in the same price range. So the Ryobi 40 volt 20-inch saw. This was 479. The Ego 20-inch CS 2005. That is 499, but I think it was on sale for 449. And then same thing. This is the Greenworks 60 volt 20-inch, and this was 449. And this is all kitted, and I think I got it on sale for 405. So, but all in the 400 something dollar range. This is kitted with a charger and an 8 amp hour 40 volt battery, 36 nominal. This is kitted with a charger and a 6 amp hour 56 volt battery, which is 50.4 nominal. And then this is kitted with a charger and an 8 amp hour battery, which is 54 volts nominal. They're all 20-inch. I've kind of gone over the saws. Just to overview on electric saws. If you're looking to replace your gas saw, there's some things, right? So this says it's equivalent of 50 cc, 55, and maybe 55 or 60. But electric saws in general are a little bit heavier to get the same amount of power. And in terms of runtime, you just are not going to get the runtime on an electric saw that you will on a tank of gas. So it's really about convenience. If you're working around your house or you're working in a place where you have a certain amount of work to do that you have batteries for, they make a lot of sense. The on-off is super convenient. And storage, the no mixing, and it's not that maybe I can't or you can't mix gas, but it's just easy to pick the thing up, use it, put it down. You don't have to leave it idling. There's just certain factors. If you're going to go to a remote location in the woods, there's no match for energy for, a tank of gas or maybe a little gallon can of gas with you to run a chainsaw, a gas chainsaw. But that being said, these have their place. So I just wanted to give you a little overview on that if you're not familiar. If you're thinking you're going to buy this and this is going to be lighter and more powerful and have more energy than your gas saw, that's not the case. This might outcut a gas saw, but you're not going to get a tank of gas is worth of energy in a battery. It's just not the case. If you have battery stuff, is where they start to make sense. Like I have, say I have a pressure washer and I have a weed whacker and I have a lawnmower and a snowblower, and they all use the same batteries, and you start having a number of batteries, but you're only going to use one of these things at a time. This is where the battery way of going really starts to make more sense, and savings and ease. That's another conversation, but I just wanted to throw that out for people that aren't familiar. Just another thing with these saws is even if one's better than the other, if you're already dialed into a line of batteries, a lot of times it just makes sense to stay with that because of the advantages of having multiple tools using the same batteries, and the cost of batteries. But it's good to know. And if you're starting out, maybe this can help you go in a general direction, you know, in looking at a lot of tools from a particular manufacturer. One other thing I'm going to say about the Ego that I like is parts availability. You can get any part for this chainsaw from Ego. Only some parts are available for the Greenworks that I've been able to find. I'm not sure about Ryobi yet. They have a website, but I didn't see what was on there for parts availability. Anyway, enough of that. I kind of quick overview on some of these saws. What I like and I don't like. just in terms of looking at them, the Ryobi is it's the lightest of the three, and it's the only one that actually gives you a 20-inch bar. This bar is a full 20 inches, which is pretty nice. They're not cheating you out of anything. The battery that it comes with, the 8 amp hour battery at the nominal voltage, this one, it packs the least stored energy. It's 288 watt hours. And I'll just this so what is nice, it has on board, it's a little one, little baby scrunch, but it has one on board. And I like the least about this, the cover plate, the adjusters in the cover plate, the nuts on this are not captured, so you can lose them, and it's finicky. It's cumbersome and kind of a little bit of a pain getting the bar lined up with the cover plate. And it's not like, I've used the Husqvarna saws that have the pin and the cover plate, and they're a lot easier to use. I don't know. There's just something about the design that's, for first run or something, it's not great. But it's just, the saw is real basic. You got your chain brake. I like it has a felling sight, and you pull back and pull the trigger, and that's it. There's no fancy controls on it. This one has fancy controls, the Ego, which is nice. You have different speed settings. It shows you how much is in your battery, shows you if the chain brake's on. It actually has light up here. This also has felling sights, and it also has an onboard scrunch. What I do like is this has captured nuts, which is nice. This is only about a 19-inch bar. And this one, at the nominal voltage, you get just over 302 watt hours of energy. So they're fairly close. Both of these, all three of these use full chisel chains. They come with a full chisel chain. Both the Ryobi and the Ego are low profile chains, so they'll use a little less energy. They're both 0.050 gauge. They're both 3/8 pitch, but they're low profile. And then the Greenworks, what I like about this is this also has captured nuts, and they're the easiest captured nuts to use. Actually, and just I like the bucking spikes on the Ego are the meanest. They stick out, and you can really grab something with them. These ones are pretty good too, but the Egos are really the best. But you don't need anything huge, but these are grabbier. So this comes with a full chisel chain, but this is not a low profile. But it's a 325 pitch. One of the things that I like here is that it's an Oregon chain, and so it's real easy. If it's a full chisel chain, but if you want to get a more aggressive Oregon chain, you can, or a less aggressive, like it's easy to cross with a lot of different chains. Like this is a 69 link drive link chain, which is kind of an oddball, and that's a 70, which is, I didn't see a lot of options out there besides getting it from Ryobi and Ego, whereas there's tons of options for chains. So I like that. This is pretty basic too. You got an on-off switch, and then that's it. This does not have an onboard scrunch. What I do like about this saw is there's a lot of, this is a pretty rugged pro feeling saw, and this battery is 8 amp hour at 54 volts nominal. So this is 432 watt hours, which is quite a bit more than either of these saws. But I feel like that bar, because it's not low profile, it's going to ask for more energy. So I don't know. We'll find out who gets more runtime. But that's kind of the overview of the saws and things I like and don't like just from going over them. Let's weigh them. They're all oiled up. They're batteried up. They're ready to go. And I wanted to compare the weights on them just to see. So we'll start with the Ryobi. Make sure I'm on there all the way. Huh. So I got 16 pounds, 1 ounce on that. I don't know if you can see that, but, and that comes in quite a bit the lightest, I believe, of any of these. And then the Ego, 19 pounds, 1 ounce. And these all are full of oil. And then the Greenworks, which I imagine just because of the battery, this thing's going to be the heaviest. And it is 20 pounds, 2 ounces. So both of these are quite a bit heavier than the Ryobi. This one's 4 pounds, 1 ounce heavier. And 3 pounds even. So 16, 19, 20, pretty much. Like I said, not as light as a gas with the same level of power, but yeah, and then this has felling sights too. Not quite as obvious as the other two, but they all have them, so that's nice. This does not have the onboard scrunch, if I didn't mention it. So hey, we've weighed them, we've looked at them. Now let's do some cutting and see how these things compare to each other. All right, that's the Ryobi. The battery is, I believe this is overheated. That is, with the two lights flashing like that. But it was almost dead anyway. Battery's overheated. Now the battery's hot. All right, now this battery overheated. All right, the saws have cooled off. Let's see what we have left for battery life. This thing's just showing nothing. Two bars. One bar. All right, we got this log here. We're between 17 and 18 inches, and the batteries are all fully charged. And I'm going to give it another torture test, and we're going to see how many straight cuts of battery can make in this thing. Okay. I'm all done with this thing. We've seen what it can do. That's all I'm doing. The battery is showing 2 bars left. Here's our 60 volt, fully charged. All right, that's it for that. And the battery has 1 bar left. I believe I overheated the saw. There you go. And we're done. There it is. So I figured, hey, I got this pretty good sized log up here. I've been doing some cuts. Why not throw a couple of other chainsaws at it? So I can't guarantee the sharpness of the chains on these other saws, but I figured while it was there, I'd just throw a few cuts on it for people to see. This Husqvarna 372 XP actually has a 24-inch bar on it right now. All right, conclusions and my take on after using these, because there's some stuff that you guys can see clearly, and then there's other stuff that you get more of a feel from using the saws. So obviously the Ryobi is considerably the least powerful cutter, and using it like I did, it got heated up the most. And I just, again, I want to say I'm abusing these kind of hard. Like I'm pushing on the saw as much as the saw will take and still cut at a good speed. So the use is a lot harder than should be under normal use. But that's for the benefit, right? So anyway, the Ryobi was obviously the least powerful. I still got quite a few cuts on it, and it's an efficient cutter. So if you were going to, you wanted something that was lightweight on smaller wood with an occasional big cut to take advantage of that 20-inch bar, it's a great saw. I didn't have really any problems with it. The tensioning thing's a pain. But I mean, it's not, to me, it's not enough to like be a deal breaker. It's the only one that doesn't have captured nuts, and I really like captured nuts on the cover. But again, decent saw overall. I didn't mind it. People have said they had problems with the thing leaking. So far, I didn't notice a problem with the thing leaking. Actually, the Greenworks, probably you can see there's some oil on the bottom of that. That's leaking a little bit of oil. This overall, the Greenworks overall is a nice cutter. I think that, you know, it's pretty heavy. It has the most battery behind it, and that second piece of wood, the 17 to 18 inch, I don't even know what it was, but it was dry as a bone, and it was like cutting concrete. Like, you think to yourself, like, if you're gonna cut wood, like, oh, dry, it'll be the easiest. It like cutting not dry wood is easier, at least with a lot of these saws. From the stuff I've been cutting, that was one of the hardest pieces of wood I had to cut. It just, I don't know, it was like cutting concrete. But this, I got a fair amount of cuts. It's the first time I've overheated the saw on this. The first log, I was able to get quite a bit more cuts out of this than anything else. But on that second log, the Ryobi and the Greenworks each got 7 cuts, and I could have cut more with the Ryobi. It wasn't done. It was hotter. It kept shutting down. I was at over a minute per cut, and it was too frustrating for me to want to use. So I stopped. Like, this would have kept cutting, but it kept cutting out, and it would have gotten worse and worse, and I had had enough. And presumably you would have too. So keeping that in mind. And the Ego I got on the tough log, I got just shy of 6 before it quit. This definitely cuts the most aggressively of the 3 saws. And the big thing to keep in mind on all 3 of these, like, they come kitted. I tested them just as they came. I didn't try different chains. And I found that with these electric saws, sometimes a chain will make a huge difference, particularly with this one where it's running it's not running a low profile. There's a lot more options for that. And I've had real good luck with the Husqvarna X-Cut chains. So that's part of it. But anyway, these 2 saws came with the max battery. Like, this is the biggest 60 volt battery you can get. This is the biggest 40 volt battery you can get from Ryobi. This is a 6 amp battery from Ego. You can actually double the capacity. So I did have the battery overheat, but sometimes when you go bigger, you don't have as much trouble. And like I said, I was really working these saws, but I think, you know, this has a lot of potential. Again, you're getting heavier. The 8 amp isn't much heavier than the 6 amp. Sometimes there's a big difference, sometimes there isn't. But I have tested this previously, and I did get quite a few more cuts out of it with the 8 amp battery, and it was less than a pound of weight gain. So I would say that would be pretty worth it. I don't know if the 10 and 12, the weight difference would make a difference, but I'm just saying the Ego has options. These 2 this is the most you can get, like, as you saw it tested. So that's a thing to consider too. As far as, like, I like this cover plate the best of any of them. The captured nuts are the slickest. Like I said, this one leaks a little bit of oil. Actually, I like the bar on this too, and the chain is a normal chain. Like I said, this is a 325. The other 2 are 3/8 low profile, but there's a lot of options with this chain. I just like the bar a little bit better. It feels a little bit sturdier cutting. But that's a small thing, and like this was nice. And then the other thing with these, and it's just a little thing, but it's a safety thing, and it depends on what your outlook is on it. But all 3 of these saws, right? You put the battery in. If you take the chain brake off, like I have it sitting here with a chain brake, but the Ryobi and the Ego are hot as soon as there's a battery in it. So if the chain brake's not on, and you know it's a 2-step, so you pull and pull, but it's on. If that battery's in it, that thing's hot. With the Greenworks, it's not. There's a button you push to turn the power on, and it'll stay on for like a minute or so, but if you let the saw sit for too long, it shuts back off. And it's not a big deal. To me, I like this better. It just feels a little bit safer because I have to turn it on for it to be hot. And I kind of like that because then I can turn it off and I don't have that risk. And of course, you know, you put the chain brake on and then you're protected with any of these, but I do like that. And it's not like something you have to like mess with after it's running. As soon as you take your finger off the trigger, it's just you turn it on for it to be on. Like I said, after a minute or two, it'll shut off and you have to turn it on again. But I like that extra safety built into it. But overall, I think the Ego, you get a lot of saw for the money, and you know, it's built into the whole Ego ecosystem. And again, for most of these, the differences is the saw as well. This one's a little bit different, but these two, it's like whichever ecosystem you're in for batteries, that's the way you want to go. But hopefully this helps you. If you're looking at these saws, make a decision. Thanks for watching.